Archaeologists open 700-year-old coffin of a Chinese beauty, but what's inside shocks them. In the city of Taixing, Jiangsu Province, China, an archaeological team recently discovered a tomb that is over 700 years old, dating back to the Ming Dynasty. What is particularly remarkable is that when the tomb was opened, inside were the bodies of a male and a female, but there were no signs of decomposition after centuries of burial. In fact, their skin still retained elasticity and their nails were intact. This raised a big question. Why, after being buried for hundreds of years, did these bodies show no signs of decomposition in normal conditions? This question puzzled the team of experts, who immediately set out to find the answer. Surprisingly, while searching for the truth, the team discovered 3 more tombs not far from the first one. All of the bodies were preserved intact and placed in extremely sturdy coffins. The outer layers of the coffins were so tough that they could only be opened with a power saw. After conducting tests, the experts found that the tough outer layer of the coffins was made from a mixture of various materials, including glutinous rice, lime powder, sand, and egg whites. The question arose, could the bodies have been preserved due to this outer covering? While this is a difficult question to answer, the experts discovered that, during the Ming Dynasty, a special kind of mortar was commonly used to cover coffins, protecting the bodies from decomposition. By applying several layers of mortar, the coffin's outer layer became incredibly sturdy. This type of mortar was usually made from sand, starch paste, and lime powder, which closely matched the ingredients the scientific team found. Based on these analyses, the experts concluded that all 5 of the coffins unearthed were wrapped in this solid shell. This mixture created a very effective seal, providing an environment that prevented decomposition for over 700 years. However, one thing the experts couldn't deny was that when the bodies were placed in the coffins, a small amount of oxygen would still remain inside. This would allow bacteria to continue operating and decomposing the bodies. So what was the real reason these bodies remained intact? During the excavation and research process, the experts also discovered that all 5 bodies were dressed in cotton clothing and thick cotton quilts were placed beneath them. Additionally, the coffins contained lime powder, wick grass, and various kinds of incense. The cotton clothing and thick quilts helped to separate the bodies from the air. Thanks to this covering, there was almost no excess air inside the coffins, preventing the growth of bacteria. Meanwhile, the lime powder and wick grass helped absorb oils and moisture, acting as desiccants in the coffins. The other incense materials served to prevent insects. It was clear that these combined factors helped control the environment inside the coffins. Both the inner and outer layers of the coffins worked together to create a strong protective barrier. As a result, all 5 bodies, buried for more than 700 years, remained intact until they were excavated. Wang Weiyin, the director of the Taizhou Museum, commented that the preservation techniques used during the Ming Dynasty were highly advanced. During this period, bodies were typically wrapped in silk and cotton to prevent decomposition. Thanks to these techniques, Chinese archaeologists were able to preserve these well-preserved bodies and open the Taizhou Museum, which houses valuable historical artifacts from the past. This discovery of ancient tombs not only represents a breakthrough in archaeological research, but also unveils previously unsolved mysteries about how ancient people preserved their dead. These secrets not only give us greater insight into ancient preservation techniques, but also spark curiosity about the remarkable methods of protection that we had never considered before. The story of these mummies is a vivid testament to the creativity and knowledge of ancient people in dealing with the natural decomposition of the body. But the discoveries don't stop there. In recent years, archaeologists have made many other remarkable discoveries that send chills down the spine of anyone who witnesses them. So, beyond the 700-year-old mummies mentioned above, what other discoveries have archaeologists made? Let's continue exploring right now. The mummy that woke up in its coffin. In 1999, while some villagers from Chichigabi, Heilongjiang Province, China, were digging a road, they unexpectedly discovered a blue brick. At first, the villagers weren't too concerned and continued with their road work, but they kept finding more of these blue bricks. After digging to a certain depth, they uncovered an entire brick wall, and it became clear that they had discovered an ancient tomb. By this time, it was getting dark, and the streetlights hadn't yet turned on, so the villagers decided to leave their tools behind and rest, planning to return the next day. However, news of the ancient tomb in Kichi-Gabi spread quickly, and two young men from the village, driven by greed, decided to sneak into the tomb that same night. They set up a lamp and used a shovel to pry open the coffin. When they opened the coffin, the scene before them was so horrifying that they would never forget it for the rest of their lives. Inside the coffin, the body was in an extremely tragic position, mouth wide open, limbs contorted, clothes in disarray, as though the person had died in great suffering. Terrified, the two young men ran out of the tomb and immediately reported the incident to the local authorities. By dawn the next day, the local cultural heritage team arrived and sealed off the site. The archaeological team assigned to the case was also deeply affected by the scene inside the tomb. Upon a quick examination, the team found that the tomb contained only the body and the coffin, along with 26 coins from the Ming Dynasty, no other valuable artifacts. However, what was particularly strange was that the body, which had been buried for over 200 years, was exceptionally well preserved. The skin, muscles, and joints were all intact. The body belonged to a woman. Her eyes were rolled back and her mouth was wide open. Based on the structure of her bones, it was determined that she was about 25 years old. She had 3 ear piercings, which was unusual since, during the Ming Dynasty, commoners typically only had 1 or 2 piercings. This suggested that the woman could have been a Manchu princess or a concubine of a Qing official. Interestingly, when the body was brought back to the laboratory, experts discovered a black, leaf-shaped object beneath the woman's legs. Further examination revealed that it was a fully formed placenta, indicating that the woman had been pregnant at the time of her death. However, she hadn't died from an infectious disease or malformation, but from a normal illness. When her condition worsened, the woman fell into a coma but was misdiagnosed as dead by a doctor. Her family then quickly held a funeral and made arrangements for her burial. Shortly after, the woman tragically woke up in her coffin, screaming and thrashing about, kicking the coffin in a desperate attempt to escape until she ran out of energy. The moment she was buried alive has haunted experts who uncovered this grim truth. The reason the body remained perfectly preserved for over 300 years was revealed to be because the woman had been buried alive. She consumed all the oxygen in the coffin, turning it into a vacuum-like environment that helped preserve her body. During a time when science and medicine were not well developed, many cultures, including China and Vietnam, had the custom of keeping the deceased at home for 3, 5, or 7 days before burial in order to prevent tragic cases like this. This custom is still observed in these countries today. What do you think about their tradition? Feel free to share your thoughts in the comments below. The ice people who conquered the dead zone of Earth. Archaeologists have uncovered shocking evidence showing that a mysterious group of people explored the Americas 30,000 years ago and settled in North America, a place that was uninhabitable during the last ice age. According to Sign News, astonishing evidence was found in Coxcatlan Cave, located south of the Tehuacan Valley in Mexico. The cave is situated several meters above the valley floor, and it measures 98 feet long and 26 feet wide. In the cave's sediment layers, traces of ancient humans were discovered, including evidence of hunting, stone tool production, basket weaving, and mat making. Many animal bones with clear signs of butchering were found buried in the sediment, indicating they were between 28,279 and 33,448 years old. These discoveries fuel ongoing debates about the theory that humans first arrived in the Americas by crossing the Bering Land Bridge 13,000 years ago. Inside the cave, a total of 28 human habitation areas were found across different periods, suggesting that various groups of people had lived in the cave, each choosing a separate corner for their activities. Additionally, 42 distinct phases of occupation were identified, and the last group to inhabit the cave even knew how to make pottery. The identity and methods of the first group to conquer this continent remain a great mystery. 6,000-year-old tomb of the mysterious queen. While constructing a road connecting a highway to a city, Romanian archaeologists discovered a luxurious ancient tomb, leading to the discovery of an entire complex of significant historical sites. The mysterious tomb was identified as belonging to the Tisapolgar culture, circa 4500 to 4000 BCE, a prehistoric culture that spanned a large area, now part of several Eastern and Central European countries. Inside the tomb, the remains of a woman were found. She was buried with 169 gold rings adorning her hair, along with a multi-layered copper bracelet, 2 gold beads, and approximately 800 bone beads. These beads could have been part of items like necklaces or bracelets, but the materials connecting them had deteriorated. Based on preliminary research of the teeth and the stature of the deceased, it is believed that she was a high-status individual, possibly an ancient queen or noblewoman. In a larger excavation project, the research team also found traces of 2 houses near the town of Saint-André, containing pottery dating from the 2nd century BCE to the 2nd century CE. Additionally, they discovered a Sarmatian settlement from the 3rd to 4th century CE near Biharia. These findings further confirm the noble status of the woman buried in the ancient tomb. The 2,100-year-old time-frozen treasure. An unparalleled archaeological treasure, extremely valuable and remarkably well-preserved, was recently discovered in Israel. The find is an ancient 2,100-year-old farm that had been suddenly abandoned, possibly due to an invasion by the forces of the ancient Hasmonean kingdom. Archaeologist Amani Abu Hamid, the lead researcher from the Israel Antiquities Authority, even described the site as a time capsule perfectly frozen in time. The artifacts found seem as though they were left in the midst of their daily activities, untouched for 2,100 years, complete with intact ancient jars and weaving loom weights still hanging from racks. With its age and preservation, the artifacts from this ancient farm are of unparalleled value. Notably, the team uncovered agricultural tools such as iron hoes and sickles, along with coins dating back to the 2nd century BCE. According to the Israel Antiquities Authority, while the artifacts don't reveal much about daily life on the farm, the unusually high number of weaving looms suggests that textile production was a primary activity there, implying that the farm might have raised a large number of sheep. The excavations also revealed evidence of overlapping settlements in the area, including foundations of buildings and pottery dating from the 9th to 10th centuries BCE. The pottery was dated based on its distinctive manufacturing style, while organic materials were dated using radiocarbon-14 methods. The archaeologists stumbled upon this treasure world at a site called Horbat Acid, east of the Sea of Galilee, while surveying for a project to build a $270 million water pipeline from the Mediterranean coast. The new pipeline is part of a desalination project that will provide fresh water for agricultural land in Israel and neighboring countries. This discovery is indeed a fascinating one, isn't it? Mythical monster skulls surrounding mummy in ancient tomb. Archaeologists working at an ancient cemetery in Egypt recently uncovered 2 tombs, not only containing mummies but also 9 terrifying monster skulls. These monsters have been identified as ancient Nile crocodiles, which were not mummified but simply wrapped in cloth and arranged around the body in a special ritualistic manner. Preliminary findings suggest that one of the tombs belonged to a man named Cheti, a high-ranking official during the reign of Pharaoh Nebuchadnezzar Mentuhotep II, who ruled from 2055 to 22 BCE. However, the identity of the second mummy remains a mystery. The 4,000-year-old crocodiles in the tomb may not have just been regular crocodiles, as in Greek mythology, Nile crocodiles or West African crocodiles were considered manifestations of the god Sobek. Sobek, in his crocodile form or as a man with a crocodile head, was associated with the power of the pharaohs, fertility, and military strength. He was also seen as a protective deity against the dangers posed by the Nile River. This connection helps explain the presence of these mysterious skulls in the ancient tomb. The Lost City, 2,300 feet below the ocean. Located to the west of a deep mountain range in the Atlantic Ocean, there is a mountain peak near which a scene of jagged towers rises from a darkened region. The limestone and carbonate walls and columns appear in eerie blue under the lights of a remotely operated vehicle approaching to explore this submerged mountain range. These structures range in size from small stone piles the size of a chair to monolithic rocks rising as high as 200 feet. This region is home to an ecosystem that scientists refer to as the Lost City. Discovered in 2000 through the lens of hydrothermal vents, this Lost City lies approximately 2,300 feet below the ocean surface in what is known to be the oldest fluid circulation environment beneath the ocean. And of course, humanity had never known of a place like this until now. For at least 120,000 years, and possibly much longer, the underground world's surface has interacted with seawater to release hydrogen, methane, and other dissolved gases into the ocean. In the cracks and crevices of the circulation channels in this area, hydrocarbons have nourished communities of novel microorganisms, even in the absence of oxygen. The standing chimneys here emit hot gases, reaching temperatures of up to 104 degrees F, home to numerous snails and crustaceans. Larger species such as crabs, shrimp, sea urchins, and eels, though rare, also reside here. Despite the harsh environmental conditions, the area is teeming with life. Some researchers argue that this ecosystem is worthy of our attention and protection. While there may be similar hydrothermal systems scattered across the ocean floors, this is the only one humans have discovered so far, thanks to remotely operated vehicles. The hydrocarbons produced in the circulation channels of this lost city don't form from carbon dioxide in the atmosphere or sunlight, but rather from chemical reactions deep beneath the ocean. Because hydrocarbons are the building blocks for life, this environment has the conditions for life to form, not just here on Earth, but possibly elsewhere in the universe. Microbiologist Brazelton from the University of Utah says, "This is an example of an ecosystem that could function on two moons of our solar system, Enceladus and Europa, and possibly even on ancient Mars." Unlike underwater volcanoes, which are considered the earliest habitats, the Lost City's ecosystem doesn't rely on the heat of magma. Underwater volcanoes primarily produce minerals rich in iron and sulfur, while the chimneys of the Lost City emit hydrogen and methane at levels 100 times higher. The calcite flows here are also much larger than those at underwater volcanoes, indicating that these systems have been active for a much longer time. The tallest of these monolithic rock formations is named Poseidon, after the Greek god of the sea, and reaches a height of 200 feet. Meanwhile, to the northeast of this peak is a cliff with short bursts of activity. Researchers from the University of Washington describe the flows here as crying, forming clusters of carbonate stalactites that protrude outward like fingers reaching up. Unfortunately, scientists aren't the only ones interested in this unusual terrain. In 2018, Poland won the rights to exploit the deep sea surrounding the Lost City. While no valuable resources are being mined directly from the hydrothermal vent field, the environmental destruction caused by extraction activities could have unforeseeable consequences. Scientists warn that any waste generated from mining operations could easily destroy the special habitat of this area. As a result, some experts are calling for the Lost City to be added to the UNESCO World Heritage List to protect it before it's too late. While this discovery may seem insignificant to some, the Lost City has existed for tens of thousands of years as a testament to the enduring power of life, and now it may be up to us to preserve it, rather than destroy it. The Giant Sword. In the spring of 1988, the Sai River in the Yuancheng district of Shandong, China, ran dry. The local villagers from nearby Daqiao gathered on the riverbank to collect sand for construction. While digging more than 3 feet down, one villager discovered a strange iron object beneath the riverbed. After gathering the villagers to dig further, they realized that it was not a chunk of iron, but an enormous sword, measuring over 23 feet long, buried in the mud. Immediately, the villagers contacted local cultural experts to report the discovery of the giant sword. Upon measuring, the sword was found to be 24.6 feet long and weighed 396 pounds. Although the blade had rusted, the figure of a mythical creature known as a Nai Si, a wolf-dog figure in Chinese culture, was still visible, carved on the blade. The sword's hilt was relatively intact, with inscriptions indicating that it was made during the 56th year of the Kangxi Emperor's reign, 1712. However, people wondered how such a massive sword could have been wielded, leading many to believe that it was not intended for battle. So, what was its purpose? After consulting historical records from the same period, experts discovered the reason behind the giant sword's creation. It turned out that the massive sword, carved with the Nai Xie figure, was intended to protect the area, specifically the Si River, a tributary of the larger Nansu River system in Shandong province. Due to its passage through hilly regions, the river's flow was powerful, often causing devastating floods downstream. Historical texts, such as the Yangtze County Chronicles, recorded that in the summer of the 50th year of Kangxi, 1712, the Sai River's lower reaches experienced continuous flooding, and the bridge across the river collapsed due to the floodwaters. At that time, the county magistrate, Jin Yifeng, repaired the bridge and used his own funds to craft the giant sword, believing that the Nai Xia, a child of the dragon and a symbol of power, would help reduce natural disasters and protect the people living near the riverbank. The 24.6 feet sword was eventually planted upright in the riverbed, but unfortunately, after some time, the sword was swept away by the water and buried beneath the riverbed for hundreds of years. After learning about the history of the giant sword, many villagers from Daqiao petitioned experts to have the sword reburied in the riverbed, fearing that floods would again devastate the area without it. As you can see, in recent years, scientists and archaeologists around the world have made countless remarkable discoveries that have left them astonished and even scared. These could range from mysterious ancient skeletons, millions of years old fossils, to grand structures and ruins left behind by ancient civilizations, all of which carry a hidden secret. So, what about you? What do you think about today's discoveries? Feel free to leave your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to give the channel a like and subscribe. Thank you for watching the video. Now, goodbye and see you next time.